Do you see what I see? That is cool. If nothing sees them, nothing will kill them. So we just got our four-wheelers unloaded, and we're at a property where the owner called and said that they have a lot of events here, hunting. They have a lot of dogs on the property, and they're afraid they're going to get bit by snakes. There's a lot of rattlesnakes here, and so we're hoping to find a rattlesnake. The weather is kind of cool today, which is not a bad thing, because the snakes will come out of their wherever their hide is, and they'll lay in the sun to warm up. In the shade right now, it's kind of chilly. In the sun, it feels really nice. There's a lot of gopher tortoise burrows on this property. I don't know if we'll find a gopher tortoise. That would be cool too. But our target is finding an eastern diamondback rattlesnake. And honestly, I don't expect to find one. Yeah, and that's how it goes. You know, when you go out looking for snakes, a lot of times, most of the time, you don't find a snake. So when you do find a snake, you get really excited. So don't know we're going to find anything today, but even if we don't find what we're looking for, at the end of the day, we'll be able to say we spent all day riding four-wheelers on 1,800 acres. So either way you cut it, that's not a bad day. So right along this edge are several gopher tortoise burrows. So it would not be out of the ordinary at all to find a diamondback laying somewhere in the sun. Right there is a gopher tortoise burrow. So there's two burrows. There's one burrow there, and there's one burrow right there. So these burrows are dug by gopher tortoises. And gopher tortoises dig burrows, 6 foot deep, up to 30 foot long, and lots of different animals, including eastern diamondback rattlesnakes, use these burrows, for shelter. So usually where you find gopher tortoises, you'll normally also possibly be able to find diamondbacks. But because this is so thick out here and such really good habitat, that makes it hard to find the snakes. When you can find snakes, that's usually okay habitat, but this is really good habitat, which means the snakes are very difficult to find. Good for the snakes, horrible for the snake hunter. The tortoises can hear. The snakes don't really hear airborne sounds like we do, but they can definitely sense the vibrations of this big four-wheeler driving through here. So if we just drive down through here looking at burrows, any animals that are hiding out nearby will probably be gone well before we get there. So now we're gonna get off and go by foot and just walk down through here and see if we see anything kind of laying out in the sun, because it feels pretty good in the sun right now. It's definitely nice and warm out here. There's a lot of gopher tortoise burrows down this line next to this field here. Here in Georgia, gopher tortoises are actually a threatened species. And they're a pretty important animal because it's been documented that up to 360 other animals use the burrow these tortoises make for their own survival. So if the gopher tortoise disappears, a lot of other animals could as well. Gopher tortoises don't get huge as far as we think like big tortoises get, but they get, 10 pounds or so, maybe 10 or 11, 12 inches long. And they don't live as long as like a Galapagos tortoise would. In the wild, 40, 50 years, maybe up to 60 years. And the females, some of them don't even become mature enough to breed till they're sometimes close to 20 years old. So it's a pretty astounding thing that these tortoises, survive in the wild and get old enough to breed and lay eggs, and the eggs successfully hatch, and then some of those grow up. So it's pretty crazy to even find a gopher tortoise with what all they have to go through to even be able to survive. Now, as I'm walking down through here, I'm probably walking faster than I should. I'm probably passing snakes because these things hide so well. This is just perfect habitat right here because, the Diamondbacks, the Eastern Diamondback rattlesnake, they use the burrow with the gopher tortoise. And the tortoise doesn't hurt the snake doesn't hurt the tortoise, and they just kind of coexist. It's kind of like the gopher tortoise has a gatekeeper, that protects the gopher tortoise burrow almost. It's pretty cool. But you really have to watch because, man, they just blend in so well. And they'll come out of these burrows and lay up along the edges, right around the edges of these things. So when you're walking around, even if you're not looking for rattlesnakes, if you're in a place where rattlesnakes can exist, you should be looking for rattlesnakes, okay? So as I walk into these areas, I make sure it's an area that's not too thick, because when I'm walking in somewhere, I want to be able to see where I'm stepping before I step there. The last thing I want to do is step on or next to a rattlesnake. I don't think they usually like that. So you really have to pay attention when you're out here. So right here is a gopher tortoise burrow. No tortoise, no snake that I see. This is an active burrow, so a tortoise does live here, but all around this edge right here is so thick and grown up, which is perfect for rattlesnakes and a lot of other animals too. And even with me moving around right here, if there is a rattlesnake nearby, chances are it's probably not going to rattle because that'll give away its location. So being quiet and being still and not moving is one of the best things this snake can do to survive. Hiding from predators and hiding from me. I mean, there could be snakes 5 or 6 feet from where I'm standing, but they're just so hard to find. So checking all those gopher tortoise burrows didn't really help because we didn't find any snakes. But that's not a problem because right over here is an old barn and it's kind of fallen down. There's a lot of tin all laying around everywhere, and that's one of the areas a property owner wants us to check. So these snakes will go under the wood and under these pieces of tin because those things warm up in the sun. So as the snake is laying underneath it, they're hidden, but they're also still getting warm. And that's perfect today because out here, today's weather is really kind of cool, but it feels good in the sun, which is usually perfect for finding snakes. I try to always put the cover back how I found it, so if snakes do utilize this all the time, they'll come back to it. This is the last bit of tin, and this is all in the shade, and which you can't warm up. Even the tin that was in the sun, all I saw there was one non-venomous black racer, but it was way too fast, I couldn't catch it. But so far, it's not looking good. Once again, I'm changing locations. I'm still on the same property, but now I'm going back into this longleaf pine habitat. Longleaf pine trees are said to be the tree that built the South. It's a really high quality wood that they used for railroads and houses and even ships, all kinds of stuff. A long time ago, there were 90 million acres of longleaf pines, but today, there's only about 3% of that left. These trees grow up to 100 feet tall and can live up to 300 years. Over 30 different endangered and threatened species rely on this habitat. Unlike a lot of other pine trees that live here in the south, longleaf pines are very good at withstanding severe windstorms. They tolerate wildfires very well, and they're resistant to pests and drought. I don't know where we're at. So this is 1,800 acres out here, and we don't know where we're at. Fortunately, we have plenty of gas in the tank, so just go back to where we came, I reckon. All right, guys, so I was right down over here by that log filming the Gopher tortoise with this GoPro, and oh man, the Gopher tortoise did not want to cooperate and let me film him crawling. He was pretty shy, so I set the camera up and waited, and so I'm standing here, and then I look, and right over here is something that's pretty cool. Is a Gopher tortoise burrow right there, and then I'll look right here, and what do I see? Do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? Right there, look, there's the Gopher tortoise burrow. I think it may have come out of there. So I was walking right here. I was walking right here to see the Gopher tortoise burrow, and didn't see any Gopher tortoises, didn't see any snakes. So I turned. I start to walk back to the four-wheelers, and as I'm walking, look right there. Look at that. Stretched out, on the move, is an eastern diamondback rattlesnake. This is what we've been looking for right here. I found rattlesnakes, diamondbacks before, kind of sitting coiled up and in their hiding place, but this one is kind of stretched out, so he's kind of like on the move. I don't know if when we pulled up on the four-wheelers, if that scared him, but let me get down here and get you a really good close-up. He's probably gonna move. Let me go around this tree, right over here. And then we'll go find Jesse. Do you see? I mean, look at his camouflage is just so perfect. Look at this. He is not moving. He is not moving at all because he thinks I don't see him. You know, people think snakes just sit around hoping to get a chance to bite somebody. This snake is trying to be motionless, so he just disappears into the background right here. And he's doing a pretty good job of that. This is not a huge diamondback. He's probably 3 feet, maybe 3.5 feet, I'd say. He's over 3 feet, 3.5 foot long diamondback right there. And that is absolutely amazing. Let me get a little bit closer here. Not too close. Oh, hey, fella. I scared him. He scared me. Hey, fella. Aren't you gorgeous? And still, look, still no rattle. This snake has not rattled. This snake has not rattled one time. You know, I tell people, snakes... Hang on, he's getting ready. He's crawling now a little bit. Let me film him some more. He's coiling up. There we go. Hey, fella. Aren't you gorgeous? Aren't you beautiful? Man, you're a beautiful diamondback. Eastern diamondback rattlesnake, the largest rattlesnake. Oh, there we go. The largest rattlesnake in the world. This particular one's not, but the Eastern diamondback species is the, there we go, a little bit of a rattle. I'm not going to harass you too much, fella. Man, that is so cool. That is cool. The Eastern diamondback rattlesnake is so awesome. And you know, these snakes, what they do is they try to use camouflage as their first defense, because if nothing sees them, nothing will kill them. And so motionless, holding the breath, not even flicking their tongue, and definitely not rattling, because that gives away their position. But then once they realized they'd been spotted, what did he do? He started trying to move away. But then once he realized that I wasn't going anywhere, I'm hovering over him, that's when he gave me the warning. And then after I got the warning, what did I get next? A strike. So these are not monsters. They just want to be left alone. And you know, if you're not out here watching where you step, man, you could so easily step right on that snake. You know, one question I get all the time is, why don't you wear snake-proof boots? Why don't you wear the gaiters or the leggings, or, you know, why don't you wear all that stuff? Well, if you want to wear that stuff, go ahead. Would you be safer wearing it? Of course you would. I don't wear it because when I'm out here, I really pay attention where I step. And now, of course, accidents can happen anytime. But, you know, this is what I do almost every day. I'm working with venomous snakes. And so you've got to really not let your guard down. And that can be easy to do when you're doing this all the time. And as long as you're out here paying attention, you know, snake-proof boots are not really snake-proof anyway. They're snake-resistant, okay? And I think sometimes they give people a false sense of security. Are they good to have? Yeah, go buy you a few pair of them and wear them every time you go outside. But I've done this for well over 30 years now. Haven't been bit yet. Of course, that could happen today, but I'm going to try to make sure it doesn't happen by always making sure I watch where I put my hands, watch where I step, because of course bad things can happen. But no, I don't wear snake resistant boots or any of that stuff. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. You should definitely go wear it. I don't do that. But you know, I want people to understand, you don't have to go buy special equipment to avoid getting bit by a snake. You just gotta have common sense. Some people say, well, you don't have any. You're out here hunting rattlesnakes. Maybe I don't, but you know, when you're watching where you step, watching where you put your hands and feet. Now, if I'm walking through something really thick, like see this stuff right here that's really thick right there, I didn't walk through there. I found a clearer path to walk through where I could see where I'm stepping and I could see off to the sides of the trail on both sides. But right here where this thing is, he's in this thicket. This is not somewhere I would walk anyway. So if you're gonna be walking through really thick stuff where you can't see where you're stepping, which I don't do that, but if that's you, then make sure you wear protection. But here's the thing. There have been several people bit through snake-proof boots. There have been people bit above snake-proof boots on the leg. Are they snake-proof? In my opinion, no. Are they good to have? For some people, yeah, go buy you some and wear them. I don't wear them. People ask why all the time. That's why I don't wear them. They're hot, they're uncomfortable. I don't like wearing them, and I watch what I'm doing. I pay attention what I'm doing when I'm out here. And when you do that, you just might find a rattlesnake. Very cool. So the landowner had specifically asked us to check a couple of locations where he's going to be having hunting dogs out here. Whoa! And he's worried about getting bit. He's wanting snakes removed from those areas. But right here where we're at right now, whoa, man, this snake is fast. We are actually way away from those areas. So where this snake is, we're going to leave this snake. Whoa, man. This snake is quick. But calm down. We're going to leave the snake. Oh, my goodness. He's fast. We're going to leave the snake here, okay? Now, look at him. Look what he's doing. He's backing away from me. This is not aggression. This is defense. And this snake wants nothing to do with me. And if I leave him alone, which is what I'm going to do, the snake will gladly do the same thing for me. All right, well, that snake is hidden very, very well. And he may just sit here for a while, I don't know. But, or he may go right back over to that Gopher tortoise burrow that I was checking out when I found him. The landowner asked me to search the area around this cabin. He definitely doesn't want venomous snakes near that, and I understand. I didn't find any snakes there, and that's a good thing for him. I was told that in years past, the previous owner would have people come in and catch as many snakes as possible and remove them completely from the area. This is an amazing piece of property, and the new owner is trying to manage it for wildlife. Well, a part of a healthy ecosystem not only includes the deer, birds, and gopher tortoises, but also the venomous snakes that live here as well. If the rattlesnake I found was near the cabin, I would have relocated that for sure, but since it was way away from everything, that's why I decided to leave it. I did, however, tell the property owner all about our snake school for dogs, which is where we teach dogs to avoid venomous snakes altogether. So hopefully that will help lessen the chances of a dog receiving a deadly bite. If you want to know more about it for your dog, visit snakeschool.com. So there's a gopher tortoise right there. He's getting ready to run down into his burrow. There he goes. Look at him. Look, isn't he quick? It don't take him long. Now, if I'm not going to do it, but if I were to go grab that gopher tortoise out of his burrow, he would basically do a push-up and wedge himself up in that burrow, so I wouldn't be able to get him. But that's him, and he knows exactly where to go to find safety too. That's pretty cool. Well, it's time to head home. This was a good day.